Hello. Today I want to talk about the 26th Amendment to the Pakistani Constitution, whereby the role of the judiciary has been severely restricted. Now, how does this relate to something else which is very much in the air, as I speak these words? And that is the spate of quite foul vituperation directed at Chief Justice Chandrachud, who is retiring in a couple of days. How are these two things related? Well, firstly, the fact of the matter is that activism in the South Asian judiciary increased. It has been increasing over the last 25 or even longer, 30, 40 years. And in the case of Pakistan, it actually made a difference. It didn't make a difference uh, up till now, you know, in India. But in Pakistan, the fact is that you had an extraordinary situation where the Chief Justice was fighting against the military dictator Musharraf. And you had extraordinary scenes of conflict between the men in black, in other words, the lawyers wearing their black robes, going back to the British time, and the men in khaki, the men in uniform. And it was extraordinary that it was the Chief Justice who prevailed. But then subsequently, judges acted in an arbitrary manner. They did silly things, but that wasn't the reason for the 26th Amendment. Ultimately, it comes down to dismantling the collegium system, in other words, one whereby judges are self selecting. It doesn't really establish what is necessary, which is a doctrine of political question. In other words, it doesn't curb the power of the judiciary, but it does, in Pakistan, the effect of the 26th Amendment is, of course, to ensure that Parliament or the powers that be, they pick the judge they think will be pliable. And this is important in the Pakistani context because in Pakistan, back in the 1950s, the Pakistani judiciary chose to go in a completely different way from the Indian judiciary, which was in that their CGI, their CGP, Chief Justice of Pakistan, their Chief Justice upheld Iskandar Mirza's claim that all power was with the Governor General or the President, and this had been bequeathed by, by the British. Legislatures don't matter. He could dismiss any prime minister he didn't like. He could bring in the army. He could supersede people in the army. In fact, you see, I mean, it's true that it was Liaquat who was in power at the time when Pakistani other generals were superseded and Ayub Khan was brought forward. Liaquat was there. But people say that it was Iskandar Mirza who, that was his machination. So basically, Iskandar Mirza, a guy from the east, a descendant of Mir Jafar, died in the wool traitor, as he would be considered by the nationalists. So he could be a dictator, inheriting power from some supposed British precedent, whereas no British Governor General, no British Viceroy, no British Governor had any such dictatorial powers. And, Ayub Khan ultimately, if he is pushed forward, if he is asked that you must be the chief martial law administrator, and you can't even be a general, and you basically keep me in power. Was this tenable? Answer is no. You can't back him off. Why? To maintain esprit de corps of Pakistan army, you have to prevent this type of, superseding of senior people and the guy in power just appointing his chamcha or his chela, his sycophant, it will completely destroy the esprit de corps of the army. So army was right to step in. And it also happened in Myanmar, where army stepped in for the same reason. Elected, but there they had proper elections. In Myanmar, by the way, they got their constitution first. It was more socialist than Indian constitution, and it was a ICS officer who wrote it. He also contributed, not Ambedkar, it was the ICS officer who also contributed to Indian constitution. And they had universal suffrage. Ceylon had universal suffrage since 1931. But in Burma, they actually were having elections and so forth until you have an elected leader who brings in the army. Army is like a vampire. They can't enter politics until they're invited. And they were invited in Pakistan, by a guy who was not elected, but who basically said, I have inherited all power from the British crown and, some bloody. And the Chief Justice in Pakistan, he endorsed that. He said there is something called doctrine of um, uh, necessity. It's like doctrine of exception or doctrine of emergency, doctrine of necessity. But, so when in Pakistan, you have Musharraf, who, after all, he did have a lot of appeal. Pakistan was doing quite well, especially look at the media. Media had boomed under Musharraf. But he starts a fight with the Chief Justice, and against all expectations, uh, I think Asian Development Bank and some other such institutions, they were kind of backing this crazy view that the court can have some magical power. It can't. It can't. Justice is a service industry. In a poor country, only productivity matters. If productivity is not rising, courts can't change anything. Anyway, now we've seen what happened in Pakistan. We've also seen what happened in Bangladesh, where a Sheikh Hasina in 2018, she said, okay, this type of reservation goes. It's gone. It's finished. She had acceded to the demand of an agitation. Then the courts bring it back. Now, by then maybe she was a bit out of touch. Probably, her son is spending so much time in US with his family, and the younger members of her cabinet were useless. And they were saying, auntie, don't worry. Our student, Hamara Chatra Sangh, they will beat the shit out of these Jamati or whatever they might be. We'll beat the shit out of them. Don't worry about it. But they got beaten up and they ran away. It was like with the CPM. They thought our goons are better than other goons. But goons, they don't want to get beaten. They do pretend to be very good at beating, but they don't actually themselves want to get their heads kicked in. So, maybe Awami League has still strong support in rural areas. And if there was free and fair elections, maybe they'd win. I don't know. But what we do know is that in Pakistan and in Bangladesh, the power of the court has been curbed one way or the other. In Pakistan, there is a constitutional amendment. In Bangladesh, what has happened is that the students, they went around with nice sticks, hockey sticks, or whatever, cricket bats, I don't know. And Chief Justice, he resigned. He said, hey, wait. So this is the context. Now, in India, you had Kiran Rijiju, but he's from Arunachal. He's very bright. Arunachal ka aadmi hai. What does he know about how... See, he's young. He doesn't remember what happened during emergency, but Modi does. Chief Minister Stalin, he was tortured. He was tortured by Indira Gandhi's goons during the emergency. These people remember. And they say, we want there to be independent judiciary. So they were not backing Kiran Rijiju. But, for God's sake, uh, you have to propose some sensible people, and you can't have a complete nepotism, and you can't have a collegium which is utterly self-serving. Now, Chandrachud, turning back to Chandrachud, uh, who, let's face it, what is he? Is he some sort of crypto Hindu? Hindutva? Hi, 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 hi. Well, let me tell you, I actually know not just, I don't know Chandrachud himself, but I know members of his family. I know people of a very similar background. And I will focus on a young chap who, in fact, is the same age as me. And I met him in 1974. And he had just come from the same school Chandrachud attended in Mumbai, which is that, Campion and Cathedral type school. And he joined St. Columba. And this chap, he was so intelligent even at that time. I can remember our conversation. And I had another friend in my class, actually, whose father was the law minister at the time. And, you see, I know these guys. I know Cathedral School. I know St. Columba School. I know St. Stephen's College. And Chandrachud then went to Harvard. And I know people, they're my contemporaries. They were chaps who went to school with me. They were, some of them were 3 or 4 years older than me. Some were younger. But, back in those days, when they came to London, they took drinks with me, or they stayed in the hostel where I was the kind of, student leader or whatever it may be called. And people would talk. So I knew exactly what was the background of this guy. And now I also know that there were really stupid people back in India who believed in transformative constitutionalism. And this was just nonsense from start to finish. You see, there is a Marxist theory which says that the economic substructure determines the superstructure. And justice is a service industry, it's part of the superstructure. So, right, from 30s onwards, there's always suspicion of the judiciary, which is why the framers of our constitution sought to limit the powers of the judiciary, and they brought in amendments to make this clear. Now, the Nehru had to be a little bit diplomatic in the early 50s, but his daughter didn't need to be. And so there was the talk of the committed judiciary and so forth. But it was, let's be frank. If Mrs. Gandhi said to the press, bend, some didn't. But when she said to the judiciary, bend, they crawled. One or two exceptions. And I remember very clearly, Khanna, RSS. Anybody, they could be very Christian, they could be this, they could be that. Reactionary, feudal, CIA agent, or just say RSS. RSS. That's it. Fascism! That's it. So basically, the historicism of Marxism, which is fine, it's a historicism based on the substructure, which is about productivity. Productivity of the working class rises, they'll get more power. Productivity of the aristocracy is going to go down. Productivity of the intermediate class goes down. Why? It's competed away. rents are competed away as elasticity of supply and demand increases, as markets become more open. This is classical economics. Marx is a classical economist. And it's a fact. This is what's happened. Let me give you an example. I had a rather stupid um, colleague, Indian community lady who was at college with me. Now, as a barrister, she may be making 1.5 million. But smart people who went to the same college, well, one of them has just spent about 112 million pounds buying a whole row of a part of Regent's Park. He's made more money. Where's he based? Kanpur and Delhi. Yeah. You see, the thing is that the age, if you really wanted to make money, by 1982, it was clear. You make stuff, be productive. This guy made a lot of money because he actually makes stuff. He doesn't represent this party or that party. He doesn't give lectures like Amartya Sen or some idiot like Gurjit Basu. He actually makes stuff. He's productive. Yeah? Good for him. Chandrachud knows. He's part of the same generation as myself. He knows that there were people like Purnendu Chatterjee. At exactly that time, he was there in America. Billionaire. Purnendu Chatterjee did not do social choice theory. He didn't write a big book called Theory of or Idea of Justice. He just made a fuck ton of money because he did operations research. Then went to McKinsey, then he went to Soros, then he set up his own. And Purnendu, I mean, you can say he lost money trying to invest in Bengal. Everything cost twice as much and took twice as long as anywhere else. But he's a Bengali, and he will, and he has, and he will continue to help Bengal. Greatest sonar, golden Bengal. I'm always very rude about Bengalis because I'm jealous. They're beautiful people. Look at their face. Look at the way they speak. It's beautiful. But outside Bengal, look at any Bengali. Look at how they've succeeded. I went to Paris. So I was at a loss. My French is, I can read French and have some, uh, you know, I can't speak French. And also, I'm stupid. So I went into local shop, Bengali guy. I speak to him in Hindi. So he replies to me in basic Hindustani. He fixes me up. He gets me everything I want. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. And what is the price? The price is one third. One third I would have paid in the open market. A tickets to Eiffel Tower, this restaurant, and so forth. I get everything for one third the price because I knew a little bit of Hindi. I know Hindi quite well, but because Bengalis find it worthwhile to know a bit of Hindi, they saw me hung out. And Paris. That was Paris. This guy, this Bangladeshi Sileti, I don't know where he was from, Muslim guy. I love Muslims. Why? They believe in God. I believe in God. You know, it's crazy that the people against Chandrachud, they don't get that you are against Muslims. If you say that when you do something good, or when you say It wasn't me, it was God. When you do this, you are showing Muslim value, Christian values. You are not showing the crazy nutter uh, so-called woke value. Woke value is that I went into the church and I took out my dick and I pissed on the altar to show my support of Gaza or some bloody shit. That's woke. Woke is I took off all my clothes and ran around Tehran. Oh, you're a great person. Look, the fact is, in Islam, what was done by Basiji harassing a girl, it was wrong. Is it there in Islam? Of course it's not. Firstly, no male should be even touching and interfering with any lady. Now, it may be that some rough ladies belonging to morality police or whatever. Rough ladies, they are not allowed also. This is Islam. But you have crazy, crazy idea of Islam whereby girls in a girls' school, girls' college, they're saying we have to wear hijab inside girls' school, sitting with girls inside the classroom. Whereas Islam says you must, if you're in a girl's space, you must take off. You must show your full hair. You must show your figure. Because boy can also, if you put like this, a wimple, a young boy without beard, he would look like that. And, young boys, you see, if they're below a certain age, it's just, they're children. Childish prank. Think about what is the implication. Implication is that even the bloody madam of the brothel, she can put on the burqa and come inside the classroom and say to this girl, hey, you come to my house. I'll give you a nice gold article uh, and I'll teach you very good prayer or something. What prayer? She'll bloody have her raped and photographed. It'll all be on the porn hub, and she'll be forced into the prostitution. Islam says nothing of the sort should occur. Clear and simple rules. What about Hinduism? What about Catholicism? What about Judaism? What about this religion? What about the law? Law says don't be bloody stupid. If you are in a woman place and it's important to establish you're a woman, you show your face. And there is a problem now with the transgender that I can be showing my dick and saying, yeah, but I'm trans. I'm trans. I'm actually a beautiful girl. But this is nonsense. J.K. Rowling, she'll come and bloody beat me. She'll send, I don't know, that some fantastic beasts to, I don't know what. But, come on. It's nonsense. Anyway, Chandrachud, to conclude, Chandrachud is a person who went to Harvard. His father was CJI at the time. And his determination was that, look, I should write judgments where the ratio is upheld from generation to generation. And if Chandrachud also now, after retirement, he's a professor or whatever, and he publishes books on jurisprudence, generations of lawyers and judges as yet unborn may speak of a Chandrachud doctrine, which is harmoniously constructed and which takes further the ratios in judgments that he's written. If this occurs, he's a success because it is the science of law which determines whether a particular judge is good or bad. Now, failure to appease this faction or that faction or this or appeasing this faction, it won't make any bloody damn difference at all. You can be like, in the Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence, when you say Judge Jeffreys of the Star Chamber, now he did what pleased the powers that existed at the time, but his is a name scarlet in infamy. Now, of course, all sorts of nutters can say that Chandrachud is, scarlet in infamy. He's the Judge Jeffreys of the time. Why did he not release every terrorist? Why did he not even condemn Narendra Modi to death? And of course, then the answer is the law did not permit. A Chief Justice or a Supreme Court Justice has to go by the science of the law. They can't act in an arbitrary manner. I mean, they can. Let's be frank. We've had really shitty Supreme Court decisions. For example, a decision which basically said that the Italian ambassador had voided his own immunity, which is an impossibility. It's like saying that the cat voided its catness and thus can start to say bow wow. Cat cannot say bow wow. A diplomat cannot void his own immunity. It's just nonsense. So we've had terrible lawyers. Now, in defense of there are dodgy kind of judgments. You read them and you go, WTF? This guy went to Harvard. This guy's smart. He went to St. Columba. He went to the guy's like me. Why is this judgment so crap? Look at the rhetoric. Look at why is he so fucking verbose? Why is he talking bollocks? And the answer is, that's what Indian judges do. He's like trying to be Indian. I'm not trying to be. If he'd stayed on in America, he made a lot of money. He wouldn't have written bollocks. But Indians seem to like bollocks. Now, to say the last word on this issue, the fact is, just as a service industry, those who are providing it, they could reform that industry, make it much more productive. They could not doing so, they're not doing so, but at least they're not being really, really stupid, as in Pakistan, as in Bangladesh. And so their stupidity and narcissism can continue a little while longer.